Thanks for joining me for another video. My name is Sean Egglestone and I'm a registered dietitian. Today we are going to be taking common arguments used against the vegan diet and applying them to the carnivore diet. So let's get started. The first one that we have here is that it is hard to follow. Besides the fact that over the last 9 years I have found being vegan to be exceptionally easy to follow, I would imagine that following the carnivore diet would be even harder to follow because you are limited to basically one food group, meat. You can forget about potlucks. How are you going to cook and prepare meals for your family? Everything's going to have to be separate. How do you go out to eat? So there's just so many limitations when it comes to holidays, when it comes to celebrations and weddings. You have to literally give up everything. I mean, with being vegan, you just give up meat. There's so much that you can eat. There's so many options. But with being carnivore, you have to give up everything else. I mean, if people have a hard enough time going vegan because they have to give up meat, how are they going to do giving up everything else except meat? They have to give up even more. So it'd be really hard to follow, especially long term. And that's one of the things that I've noticed when I've looked at people's takes, their experience on following the carnivore diet. Is one of their major complaints is, yeah, this was great, but I could never do it more than a month. Number 2, deficient in micronutrients. Now, besides the fact that we know that vegetarians are less deficient in micronutrients than most common omnivorous Americans because their diet is so devoid of any real nutrients found in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans. It's just processed junk food, added oils, and salt and sugar. The carnivore diet is deficient in many, many micronutrients. In fact, in my one of my recent videos that I posted, I actually looked at 3 different carnivore diets and I broke down their nutrition analysis. I'll post in the comments below the link for that video. And then here, again, vitamin C, scurvy, you got folate, same thing, thiamine, pantothenic acid, the fat-soluble vitamins A, E, D, and K, calcium, magnesium. So consistently across the board, what we're seeing is similar patterns of micronutrient deficiencies and excess cholesterol, saturated fat, and trans fats in this diet now. And what we find is that it's deficient in vitamin C. It's deficient in many B vitamins. It's deficient in calcium. It's deficient in many minerals such as zinc and selenium and magnesium. It's deficient in folate. It's deficient in fiber. So there's so many micronutrients that the carnivore diet just does not have. And so by saying that we shouldn't go vegan because we need to supplement with a B12, I can apply that same thing and say we shouldn't go carnivore because we would have to supplement with a vitamin C or else we would get scurvy. Number 3, the cost. People think that eating healthy is expensive. Again, I have debunked this in my 5-part series on the dietary guidelines for healthy Americans. You can follow a vegetarian, very healthy diet for $167 per person per month. And if you want to go vegan, you get rid of some of the eggs and the milk, you get under, I think it's around $150 per person per month for a healthy vegan diet. It does not get cheaper, guys. It does not get cheaper than the vegetarian diet because things like rice, pasta, beans, fruits, these are some of the cheapest foods in the grocery store. Vegetables tend to be more expensive, but meat is some of the most expensive stuff per pound in the grocery store. So don't believe that going vegan or eating healthy is expensive. Meat is more expensive, especially the good stuff. And that's oftentimes what the carnivore diet advocates say is, you need to buy expensive meat. You can go cheap, but, you go cheap on meat. It's like, well, what kind of quality meat are you getting? Number 4, they say no population's ever been vegan. It's like, well, no population's ever been, carnivore. At no point in time has our species as a whole ever been carnivore. And again, I did a video on the Paleolithic diet, and our Paleolithic ancestors were not carnivore. We weren't even close to being carnivore. And you could make the argument that the Maasai tribe in Africa, a population of around 500,000 people, follows as close to a carnivorous diet as you could imagine. Again, the studies have shown that that's not healthy. And there's no long-term studies to show that that's even like safe to do, that it decreases your risk for things like heart disease. So not necessarily healthy to follow. We do know that for 18 million years prior to the Paleolithic our ancestors, the Paleolithic period, that we were vegetarian. We know that our Paleolithic ancestors were primarily vegetarian, and we have some of the biggest numbers of vegetarians living today. When you look at Asia, when you look at India, when of course India is in Asia, but when you look at like China and Japan, you look at India, you look at South America. I mean, there's so many vegetarians. There's more vegetarians and healthy vegetarians that are living today than ever before. So to say that no population was ever vegan, it's like, yeah, but for a long time in our history, we were vegetarian. So we have so much better data on that than we do on the carnivore diet. And the last one here is sort of just an aside. It's on the environment. I know a lot of people don't want to hear about environmental stuff or, animal rights and things like that. But it is important to say because we are experiencing climate change, and it's just not feasible to follow a diet that's centered around meat products, because we know that I watched one documentary that said that if the entire America were to just eat grass-fed meat, not even a carnivorous diet, but just grass-fed meat, we wouldn't have enough land space in the U.S. to even feed that much. So if people are promoting the carnivore diet as being healthy and something that people should follow, it's like we wouldn't be able to feed everyone on this planet if we were to all go carnivore. And it is important to think, of when you have animal agriculture, the methane that's created as a byproduct of raising cattle is worse for the environment than carbon emissions. And we know that there's more global warming happening as a result of animal agriculture than from the transportation industry combined. Planes, trains, buses, cars, all of it contributes less to global warming than raising cattle and animals for food. So and from an environmental standpoint, whether you care about the animals ethically and morally or not, when we look at the future of the planet and the future of mankind, we wouldn't all be able to follow a carnivorous diet. But when we look at the data on veganism and on vegetarianism, the best thing we could actually do for this planet is to eat more plant foods and less animal foods. You can feed more people in a smaller amount of space, and plants help absorb things like carbon dioxide, and so it's just a benefit, and improves the soil, and it's less disease and foodborne illness. So there's the argument for following a vegetarian diet is way stronger than following the carnivore diet. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Hope you guys found this video interesting. Just a unique little topic, taking these common arguments that people have for following a vegan diet and applying it to the carnivore diet. They apply even better to the carnivore diet than the vegan diet. And like I said earlier, I've been vegan now for 9 years, and I found it to be one of the easiest things to do. I mean, I wish I did this 25 years ago. But that's a whole nother video. So if you have any other questions, you can post them down below. Again, don't forget to check out in the descriptions. I have a few of my extra videos that I've referred to. I'll post the links down below so you can check them out. And of course, if you haven't checked out my website, I highly recommend you go over there. It's SeanTheRD.com, and it's got other nutrition videos as well as recommended resources, frequently asked questions, and a contact me section. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.